Market opinion in because we are seeing the markets gyrating a bit. At this point in time, the mid caps are once again pulled back from the red into the green. To get you some more advice on how things are shaping up, we are joined by a market expert. Hemant Thukral joins with some strategies. Good morning, Hemant. Thank you very much for joining us. Nifty moving in a narrow band and a little choppy. What is the trade now and where do you see it close, the contract?
See, good morning, Lata. I think, Lata, the way options are being planned out, I have a feeling that today also 7780, 7790 should hold for Nifty, and ideally I'm not looking at a very big volatility today at the last because most of the rollovers have already taken place, but I'm still expecting expiry to be around 7850 to 7870 mark. So I'm expecting some pullback in the second half of Nifty, and for that we are recommending people to buy the next month basically 79, 78 calls. So, and we are keeping a stop loss of 7750, and if not today, at least in the first on Monday, we are expecting Nifty to march towards 7950 first. So that would be the target that we'll be keeping in mind on Monday. Okay. And today also, as I said, I'm expecting some pullback in the second half.
Okay. Hemant, hi, morning. You have a stock-specific strategy on Aurobindo Pharma. Just take us through that because pharma is the sector of the day.
Yes, Sonia, I think this will remain the sector of the next series also. Especially the mid-cap pharma stocks, they are seeing exceptional rollovers right now. So whether it is Strides, Vocard, I have picked Aurobindo for two reasons. One, the rollover has already reached 80, so I'm expecting it to cross 90% rollovers. Second, technically the stock is now very easily trading above that 735, 740 mark. So I'm expecting it to go up to 770, 780, and we are keeping a stop loss of 715, 720 on the same.
All right. And you have a long call on Bank of Baroda as well.
Yeah, Lata, this has become my favorite, it seems, because the stock has been an outperformer. And I'm sure the next series also among all PSU banks, you will see a complete outperformance because already the stock is showing the best rollovers. And if it doesn't breaches that 180, 182 mark, I'm quite sure it will touch 197, 200 very soon. So I would still recommend people to go long on Bank of Baroda, even though the banking stocks are subdued today. But I feel that rebound should happen today or on Monday. But keep a tight stop loss of 182 on the same.
All right, Hemant, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for giving us all those ideas. By the way, there's some exclusives coming in on Prime Focus, so that stock should be up for you on your screen. The Standard Chartered PE has bought about 9.75% stake in a bulk deal today. The Stancy PE has upped its stake to 21.9% from 12.2% stake in the company. There was a big bulk deal that happened on the exchanges today, and we understand from sources that it is the Standard Chartered Private Equity that has raised their stake in the company to 21.9 versus 12.2%. We'll get more details on that in a bit, but that stock is now spiking up almost about 10%. But when we come back, the big news globally has been the fact that Volkswagen CEO Martin Winterkorn has stepped down after the company admitted to rigging emission tests in the United States. An auto expert, Guido Renking, will tell us what the road ahead is for the company on the other side.
I'm Shireen Bhan, and we're coming to you from Singapore, where Finance Minister Arun Jaitley is trying to sell the India story.
India now is going to be held hostage to EM flows as a whole.
Clearly, India stands out. I mean, if you look at our funds, India is a big overweight for us.
What we are seeing as an AMC is flows coming back into country-specific funds.
Having international investment coming in is a big value add.
The kind of investment returns that these investors expect are certainly going to be much better in India.
There is a space for a rate cut in India.
As somebody somebody who wants India's economy to grow and who wants domestic demand to grow, I would want the rates to come down, and RBI will appropriately act.
The good news is that the refrain on tax is far more subdued.
They are looking at India much more seriously.
The credibility of the government is back. That is the biggest stake that I could sense from the investors.
This is really a God-given opportunity in India. The global environment is slowing down. India really is a standout economy. We have a great government.
Follow the inside story of the Make in India campaign with a business specialist as we travel the world with key policymakers. Only on CNBC TV 18. CNBC TV 18, celebrating 15 years of leadership.
Welcome back. The big news globally in the auto sector has been what Volkswagen has gone through in the last many weeks, or last many days rather, with that whole emission scandal in the US. Now they've stopped selling diesel cars in the US because of that emission scandal. But what about Europe, and what about the way forward, not just for Volkswagen, but for a whole host of suppliers like Motherson Sumi that supply to this company? Guido Renking, the auto expert in Europe, joins us on the show to tell us what he's made of the entire situation. Guido, good morning and thank you for being with us. What did you make of the emission scandal, and what do you think could be the way forward for Volkswagen now?
That is really amazing, and the first time when I heard it, I couldn't believe it actually, because this is really a scandal, and I could not imagine that people at Volkswagen, and I know many of them quite good, try to cheat their customers and the U.S. administration in that way. This is really amazing.
No, I agree, but would this Volkswagen scandal extend to other automakers in other countries as well, or do you think this is likely to be a one-company issue?
I think we are now talking about 11 million cars made by Volkswagen. And I know that all cars on the road are a little bit, I would say, optimized, not to the use of the customer, but much more to the emission and fuel consumption tests made by the governments in the different parts of the world. For example, in Germany, we have the so-called, or in Europe, the so-called NEFT, the new European driving cycling test. And this means the cars want to show very low emission and very low fuel consumption in this test. And so it's a question of optimization. This is every car manufacturer is doing this more or less. But Volkswagen did something quite different. They built a software into their cars that noticed that now there is a test coming, and changed the whole management of the engine and of the exhaust system dramatically. And this is really a different quality. So I don't believe that we will see this kind of software manipulation at other companies as well.
Okay. So do not expect this kind of software manipulation in other companies. That's an interesting point. But for Volkswagen itself, what could the damage be in the near term? Will it only be a brand hit that Volkswagen sees and a penalty, of course? Or do you see a demand slowdown as well?
I mean, the most important thing to me is the reputation Volkswagen is losing, not only in USA and not only in Europe, I think everywhere in the world, because Volkswagen stands for high quality, low fuel consumption, environmental friendly cars, and they are now damaged this reputation very much. I think this is the worst thing that happened to Volkswagen in these days, that people who go to a car dealer and want to buy a car, Volkswagen, they will think twice now if this is the best decision they can do for their money.
So what about the suppliers to Volkswagen? You know, we have many Indian suppliers to Volkswagen, like Motherson Sumi. Do you see a big damage to their income?
Well, I think all of them will be affected by this, because Volkswagen is producing around 10 million cars this year. 11 million worldwide are affected by this scandal, have this software on board. You see the numbers and how far this can go. And I think Volkswagen will lose customers, they will lose a lot of money, and the suppliers of Volkswagen for sure as well.
All right. Is this irreparable damage to Volkswagen, or do you see Volkswagen bounce back from this episode pretty soon? Because as of yesterday, we saw the CEO resign as well.
The worst damage for Volkswagen is not only losing money. I mean, this is only for 1 year, and when they lose the 6.5 billion they now set back for the rest of the year, then it's only money. But because much more important or much more valuable than any money is the reputation of the company. The German founder of Bosch, Mr. Robert Bosch, once said it's better to lose money than reputation, and this is exactly what happens now to Volkswagen. The image of the car brand is very important. It's one of the most valuable brands we have here in Germany, and this brand, there's now a shadow on this brand, and people everywhere in the world hear about this scandal, and this is, for the reputation of the company, it can't be worse.
Okay, who is the one supplier who will be affected most?
I think a supplier that supplies, for example, wires or things like that are not so much affected. We know today that the engine management system, which is now under investigation, comes from Bosch. Bosch is a big company, which is, I think, which has big factories in India as well. I don't think that the sales of Volkswagen and the number of produced cars will break down for let's say 10 or something %. I think this will be in this will be only affect a very small number of sales. But so no, you should not be too concerned about your Indian supplier.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Reeking. Well, it's time to wind down on Bazaar, and as we do that, we leave the markets actually directionless, as derelict as it was in early morning. It looks like, as many of our experts said, it would gyrate within a narrow range and remain choppy, and even perhaps end of day, as Hemant was telling us, most of the rollover is over, and perhaps this will be one of those expiries which may not be marked by too much volatility, at least at an index level. Let's wait and see. At the moment, the mid-caps are in the green, so the advanced declines are 2 in the green for 1 in the red. On that positive note, we hand it over to Traders Only, who have prepared for you a lot of trading ideas.
CNBC TV 18, celebrating 15 years of leadership.